Alright, so this is Holly. I'm with Hollyberry Designs, and this is the first time I've ever done a tutorial, but I've had several people today ask me to do this, so we're going to see how this turns out. So I'm going to make a reverse canvas. I have a gallery wrapped canvas. It's a Artist Lofts Level 3. You can get these at Michael's. They are the higher end. I normally wait until they're on sale to buy them and buy them in bulk then. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to actually take the canvas off of here. The easiest way is actually just to cut it right off. A lot of people have been asking, how do you get the staples out? It's up to you if you want to take them out. We're not using the front side, the back side of the canvas on the wall. People think reverse and they think they're going to see the back side, so they're determined to get the staples out. But we're really not concerned with that. We're more concerned with the front side of it. So on this particular one, we'll have to get them off the sides, but at least we don't have to deal with all the rest of it. Once you get this out, you've got actually a really nice frame here. I just did a little bit of sanding on mine to get the printing off of it. But as you can see, I didn't take any of the staples off the back of it because there's really no need to. So I'm just going to sand off a little bit. If you're using a dark paint or a really dark stain, you could probably just skip this step. I just know that the stain that I'm using is going to be a little bit lighter. All right, the stain that I am choosing to use today is Minwax. It's English Chestnut 233. Oops, getting a little bit too much on here. Great thing about stain is it doesn't matter. Alright, so now that we have our frame stained, Okay, so now that our frame is stained, we're actually going to just set that aside for a bit so we can actually get our canvas. Now, a lot of people have shown this as HTV. The HTV is not my friend, and I also don't have any that's not glitter, and I'm really not in the mood for glitter. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint my canvas because regular vinyl does not stick very well to canvas. I like to use Dylusions. The reason I like it is because it's pretty much a one coat. I don't have to put, 3 or 4 coats on and wait for it to dry in between. I can just do a coat and it's done. And I actually did a canvas the other night the canvas itself was black, and I did 1 coat of black, and it did not need another coat. It doesn't look like it's light. You can't see brush strokes. It just 1 coat and you can move on. So, and I just go right up to the edge because you're not even going to use quite to the edge because most of it's going to get cut off, because once we staple back onto the frame, the only part you're going to use is this part right here. So all of this is going to be gone. I just don't cut mine until I actually have it back on the frame, and then it's easier just to cut it. Almost like how I cut it off when I cut the canvas off. And there we go. We've got our first coat on. I cheat. I use a little bit of a heat gun and just dry it off because I don't want to wait for it. So that's what we're going to do. And I promise you I will edit this out so you won't have to hear all of my heat gun. But okay, so that is dry now. I know over the last several days when I've talked about using a heat gun, whether it was with vinyl or to dry something, several people have asked me what do I mean by a heat gun. It literally is just that it's a heat gun. You can buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot. The one that I have, it sits down, so if you want to hold something above it, you can actually, it sits there on its own and you can hold things above it. So that's one of the things I like about it. It's got different levels of heat and of the amount of air that's going through it. It was $40 at Lowe's, and it's one of the few heat guns that they do have in stock that I like the price and the features on it. So that's why I got that one, or rather why the hubs got it for me for Christmas. So now that we have our dried painted canvas, and I do paint the whole thing because some people have said, why not just paint where you're going to put it on? I actually paint canvas because I like the way it looks when it's painted. It just gives it a little bit more of a richer looking feel. I went ahead, I'm just doing the word love, because I'm making a gallery wall and I wanted this for it. I already cut this out on Cricut. It's on Oracle 651. I am using the Cricut transfer paper. I know that a lot of people aren't a fan of that, but I have never had any problem with it. I think it's, and I've often used it multiple times. I actually made a reverse canvas the other night. Some of you may have seen it said, it's good to be home, and this is actually part of the transfer tape that I used for that. And the vinyl actually is made out of the scraps from that particular piece, so using the remnants there. And I don't get super picky about where my vinyl is on there. I just kind of eyeball it. Some people get really worked up about it. I just don't that much. I'm just gonna rub it on using actually the back of my weeder. Weeder is good for a multitude of things. All right. And because there's paint on the canvas, it does adhere pretty well. I also like to take my little handy duty heat gun and just kind of seal it on. If you have any bubbles or any wrinkles when you do make, if you do make a mistake when you're adhering your vinyl, your heat gun is your friend for getting rid of a lot of those. And I don't do it for long, just long enough to warm it up, and then I just kind of press it in, and it seems to just kind of melt it into the canvas. It kind of takes on the texture of the canvas, almost gives it a painted on look. So hopefully you could hear me over that. But you will notice that the heat gun is not very loud. So you can see it just kind of becomes part of it at that point. It doesn't feel or look like it's vinyl at that point. And then the last thing we're going to do is kind of figure out where we want this on here. So I kind of like how we've got it there. Going to flip it over. And I'm just using a regular staple. Now mine is a 30-year-old staple and it is metal, so it probably has a little more gumption than some of those. I'm just going to check one more time where I am, because I kind of moved that when I flipped it over, I think. All right, and this is one of the reasons I don't get real worked up about is it perfect on the canvas when I put the vinyl on, because I can kind of eyeball it here and see how I want it to be, and then just go from there. So we're going to turn this over here, and I'm sure if I keep doing this, I will invest in a staple gun, but for now, this seems to be working just fine. I just stretch it. Yeah, it says Holly stapler. I'm not kidding when I say that this stapler is over 30 years old. I don't remember what necessitated me putting my name on it, but it has, as you can tell from how yellow that is, I'm pretty sure it was white paper when I taped it on there. And it's been scotch taped on there for the last 30 years. Alright, just double check before I'm done. I like the way it looks. It's nice and tight. Alright, now that we've got this on here, it's stapled on there. I just double checked to make sure I like where it is, because you can always take it off, do it again if you don't like you know, how you got it centered on there, or you don't think it's tight enough, but I'm happy with it. So I'm just really going to go along here and cut my canvas. And remember, I never even took the staples out from the original stapling of the canvas. I just didn't feel there was a need to. And I think I could probably use another stapler there. Not the best job of stapling. That's okay. No one's ever going to see it. And we have a reverse canvas that took a total from start to finish less than 20 minutes for us to start from a sealed canvas. I did have the vinyl printed and ready to go ahead of time. That's the only prep work I did before I started making this. And I think it's going to go great on my gallery wall that I'm making. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message, but I hope this helped answer some of the questions about what is reverse canvas and how is it. Super easy to do, and I hope you like this.